Hello and welcome to another installment of Skin Bag of Coffee. I am your host, Philtron. Continuing on the mini split how it works video.
The entire system, and then it comes past this thermistor, and this is a high temperature, it's not a switch, but it's a thermistor to monitor how high the temperature actually is right here, but we'll get to that in a little bit. You see, then we are turning and we're coming down to this muffler. So this is not a filter dryer, it's mounted on the discharge, which is high pressure, high temperature vapor, and then you see there's a little piece of rubber right here, and then you see another turn. The whole point of this is to reduce the pulsations from the changing frequency at the inverter compressor. And so you got to remember that if the pulsations are changing, the frequency of the refrigerant flowing through is going to change, and there might be like a noise, from the vibration. So you're trying to deaden that. You're giving it space to accumulate, and you see this right here. This is the inside of a muffler, so that's what it looks like. Here's another version right here. And so there's no desiccant or anything like that. It's just a place for the refrigerant to gather. And so then it comes over this way, and it comes up and turns again before entering into this reversing valve. So you see the reversing valve there, that's basically the same size as this little one right here. You have a solenoid coil, and that, when you power the solenoid coil, it changes the refrigerant direction inside the reversing valve. And so here we have a larger one, and so you can see this little slide mechanism. There's a U shape right here that connects either this pipe to this pipe or this pipe to this pipe. So this top one is always your discharge, and this one's always your suction going to the compressor. And so this little U-shaped slide right here is going to be held down because you're going to have the discharge pressure coming into the top, and that's going to push this down. And then you have capillary tubes right here you're going to see, and you're going to have either high pressure on this side and low pressure on this side, or high pressure and then low pressure. And so what happens is, if you have high pressure on this side, it's going to slide this way. And if you have high pressure on this side, it's going to slide it this way. And that's just going to change the directional flow of the refrigerant through this entire system. And that's all controlled by this little pilot solenoid valve. And you have this little electrical solenoid coil. And this is pretty simplistic. And this is kind of the same as it is on a standard single-speed heat pump. If this unit right here is powered with 240 volts, then this coil right here is typically powered by that same 240 volts. And so that's going to change the refrigerant's direction. Here we have the EEV metering device, and that is the electric expansion valve. So that's a pressure reduction device. Remember, your compressor is a pressure increasing device, so these two components separate the high and the low pressure sides of the whole system. So inside the EEV, it looks like this, and you have this little pin or needle right here, and there's a screw up towards the top, and anytime this is rotating, it's going to either close down the hole size, or it's going to increase the hole size. And so that's what's happening on the inside. Now this is a permanent magnet here, this is a stainless steel shell, and then you have your rotating magnetic field on the outside, either closing it or opening it, and that's controlled and powered by 12 volt from the outdoor PCB. And on these, we typically have either 5 wires or 6.
You see these hands? See these hands? These are a real man's hands. These are the hands of a competent man.
Wires, and so there's several coils on the inside of this, and you have several 12 volt signals, and what's happening is you have this rotating magnetic field compared to, it's not like a standard solenoid. So I just want you to really keep that in mind, and you wouldn't be able to do anything like when you put a permanent magnet around this, except if you were to rotate it back and forth. Now it's very important that these EEVs, if you were ever to remove the head, if you look at the bottom right here, a lot of times they're fixed in a certain position. So if you put it here, it's not going to quite operate correctly. So if you were to ever to take this off, you got to make sure to put it back at the same mark where you pulled it off from. So that's, on this one, it's right there. Here we have the muffler / strainer. So
why do we care about the temperature coming out of the compressor? That discharge line right after the compressor is the hottest part of the whole system. Control board keeps an eye on it because if it gets too hot, the oil starts breaking down. Once the oil thins out, it doesn't lubricate well anymore, and you can wreck the compressor. High temperature is also a good warning light that something else is wrong. Dirty coil, low airflow, restriction, whatever. So it's basically, don't let the compressor cook itself sensor. Now that reversing valve, what is that? That's the part that lets the system do both heating and cooling. Brilliant. It just redirects where the hot gas from the compressor goes. In cooling mode, the hot gas gets sent outside. In heating mode, it gets sent inside. The compressor itself never runs backward. The reversing valve just flips the path of the refrigerant. And that solenoid, what is a solenoid? So it's pretty simple. It's like the switch on your car that ignites the engine. It's just an electromagnetic coil. When you give it power, it creates a magnetic field that moves a little plunge or pivot valve. The small movement is what kicks off the bigger change in the reversing valve. In those little capillaries, those tiny tubes use a bit of the high pressure refrigerant to create a pressure difference on either side of the main sliding piston inside the valve. That pressure difference is what actually shoves the big slide from one side to the other. The solenoid only controls a small pilot valve. The real muscle that moves the reversing valve comes from the refrigerant pressure itself through those capillaries. We'll continue on this tomorrow. I hope you're doing well. Remember that you are loved.
Once again, not a filter.
I will talk to you later.
Desiccant in.
I can't escape. There we go.